Back pages for you. Lee Carsley might have his trotters up soon. And bowing out in style. Back page of the Times. Carsley gets his fitting farewell. The Sun going for over to you, TU for Tuchel, and lovely pictures of Anthony Gordon celebrating his goal last night at Wembley. The Express headline is Carsley goes out on a high. The Guardian this morning, exciting times ahead. That's the celebration picture of Taylor Harwood-Bellis. Quite the height he gets in there in that celebration as well. Punch in the air, pleased with his first goal on his debut. And the Daily Mail says it's over to you, Thomas Tuchel. So there's discussions around this dossier that Lee Carsley will have as he hands over to Thomas Tuchel. Now the Times are reporting this morning, because obviously there's been a lot in this international window about why Thomas Tuchel isn't there. They're reporting that he is just on holiday, so perhaps that was part of the contract. I will start in the first and I'm going to have my time off. Carsley will give detailed handover to his successor. This is the piece in the Times this morning by Matt Lawton. He thinks England have developed his guidance en route to securing 5 victories in 6 games. In his programme notes, Carsley said the squad is definitely in a stronger position now than they were in the first camp, so it's been a great experience. Stuart, you were there last night. 8 goal scorers, 8 different goal scorers and 8 goals in the last 2 games. How impressed have you been with Lee Carsley being able to select and give opportunities to those younger guys?
Well, I think coming from his background as under-21 manager, if he didn't put young players in, at the end of this period of 6 games, you'd have probably looked and said, well, you know, what's been going on at under-21 level? Have we not got players that are good enough to come through? So it's no surprise that he's put a few in and that he trusts and knows and whatever. And I tell you what really pleased me, the fact, I can't remember which one of the debutants turned round and talked about their experience at under-21 level, winning the under-21 trophy, and what there's a bond between those players that won't be broken now, and that's so important going forward. I've seen it with the Germans, with the French and with the Spaniards that have won things at the younger age groups that have taken on their journey with them into the seniors. So I think it was a utopian 6 games for him as well. The fact that he's seen the good, the bad and the ugly of the England job, not just, 6 easy victories, if you like.
Thomas Tuchel's on holiday. Stuart, if you had a holiday booked and you got the England manager's job, would you cancel that holiday?
Yes, I probably would have to, because the magnitude of the job. And the thing with international football as well, you can take your holiday now. Today you can take your holiday between now and January, to be honest with you. That is the holiday period for an international manager. I
think it's incredible. But Jeff, fair play that you mentioned that, because a number of people want the reasons as to why he hasn't started earlier, why they've kept...
It is bewildering. I found it absolutely bewildering. There was some stuff coming out about, there were some loose ends to tie up with Bayern Munich. I can't believe that's the real reason behind it. But I was shocked by it. I mean, my theory, and I seem to be alone in this, was that Greece away, that was a tricky looking game, and the last thing England or the FA would want is for an England manager to start with a defeat. And that was a possibility. It didn't turn out that way because England played really well on the night. I have no idea whether that was the case or not, but we've got a text from Stephen Birmingham who just says, do you think that once the decision was made to appoint Tuchel, the pressure was lifted from Lee Carsley and he had the freedom to do his job? And that's a very good point, I think.
That's a good point. I think he's got a very good point there. It relaxed Lee a little bit. I saw in his demeanour that, from a distance, that he looked a little bit more relaxed with it. But then again, the result in Greece probably helped that as well.
It's funny, the Times have reported it twice, reading it's believed he's on his holiday, whereas a number of people were looking for reasons as to why he wasn't there. Was it a gardening leave thing, something contractual from Bayern Munich? Let's talk about some of the vacancies going around and potentially where Lee Carsley could be going next, because it's rumoured that he's linked to Coventry. Don't know if you heard this story over the weekend, that there's been 80 applicants for the Coventry City job, which is pretty impressive. And it's believed...
I don't think that's unusual. I really don't.
You never really hear that, though.
Most jobs, there are huge numbers of applicants. There aren't many managerial jobs going around. I mean, not all of those will be serious applicants either, by the way. Not all of those will get any consideration. I don't think Lee Carsley will be going anywhere. I don't see him going into club management. Do you, Stu? Not at the moment, anyway.
No, I don't. I think with the period he's had with England, I think his esteem would have grown and his experience would have grown. He's ticked a box in his CV that's really good. And I look at his career choices. If I was Lee, I would probably say to the FA now, give me a contract for 2 tournaments, 4 years, and, I'll be with yourselves. The alternative being you can go into club football, you can be in and out of club football within less than 2 years. You can be in and out within less than a year. And then where do you go from there? Why, you've got job security, and that's a big thing. And I think the nature of Lee and the type of person he is, I think that he'll be more suited to sitting tight at the moment. There's no rush to get where he wants to go.
No, and Thomas Tuchel, of course, it's a short-term contract with England. If Thomas Tuchel doesn't continue after that, Lee Carsley is absolutely in pole position now.
You mentioned that yesterday, being safe hands, and sometimes you don't have to be the biggest name, but you can be safe hands for that role, and actually that's what he has been.
Well, and as Jeff said, after a year and a half, if something happens on that journey or at the end of that journey, the FA can buy themselves time again if you put Lee back in charge, because it'll be seamless. He's done it now.
This is true. Matt Law and John Pearce writing in the Telegraph today, Coventry to talk to Van Nistelrooy and Frank Lampard. Among the expected to be the 5 candidates Coventry City will be speaking to over their vacant manager's job this week. Who do you think deserves this opportunity more, Jeff? Because Frank, as we know, is kind of tried and tested. He's been about. It's not been all so successful. But Ruud van Nistelrooy feels like flavour of the month after what's happened with Manchester United.
I think that Frank Lampard will get the Coventry job if he wants the Coventry job. He's proved he was successful when he was at Derby County. At that level, he knows the game in this country inside out. Ruud van Nistelrooy, I think, with all due respect to Coventry, he might be aiming a little higher. He might have his sights, set on a Premier League job. Frank, at the moment, is looking to re-establish himself on that managerial merry-go-round. I think it's an ideal opportunity for him because Mark Robins did brilliantly at Coventry, and they have the potential, I think, to do pretty well.
I think there's a good manager out there in Mark Robins that will be looking to get back in. I think last year or the year before, I voted him as manager of the year. I think he's done an outstanding job there. And I think whoever comes in at Coventry, the expectation is he'll get promoted. And that won't be an easy task, I can assure you. Championship's a tough place to manage in.
Very true.
Dan, the Spurs fan, says, I feel sorry for Lee Carsley. I feel he's been stabbed in the back by the FA. He should have got the job full time. I've got a feeling that Dan is not going to be alone in that view. Shebahn, thank you very much indeed.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.